What's up, Sagittarius? Or I'm sorry, what's up, Sag? I forgot we're cool like that now. We got a description for this herbal astrology oracle, and then we got the actual reading itself. And this is by Adriana Ayala. This deck in particular. Now, this card is St. John's Wort, and the subtext is radiance. Joy, warmth, resilience, happiness, understanding, manifestation, spiritual power, protection. St. John's Wort, like the Sun card in the tarot, represents the feelings of protection, optimism, fulfillment, prosperity, success, the dawn that follows of darkest nights. The sun is the source of the life. The sun is the source of all life on our planet, and it represents life energy itself. In Latin, the name is Hypericum, means to place above the altar, and perforatum means perforation, a reference to the holes in the plant's leaves used since ancient times as an protective plant against witchcraft, learn how to talk, demonic entities, or psychic energy. St. John's Wort was often used in exorcism rituals when demons were eradicated from possessed spaces and people. St. John's Wort is the epitome of a solar herb. It blossoms around the peak of a midsummer day. Midsummer day, embodying resilience, vitality, and longevity. Its power is such that it's believed to be effective in protecting a home against lightning, fires, and severe storms. One of the common customs was to burn the herb in the fireplace and let the pungent smoke permeate the space to ward off evil and enhance protection. The ancients believed this precious ally to be one of the great gifts of humanity due to the plethora of healing benefits it contains. For many centuries, St. John's Wort has been used as a remedy against depression, anxiety, melancholy, viruses, wound healing, pain relief, spiritual protection, and more. The Midsummer Goddess celebrates this is the guidance portion. The Midsummer Goddess celebrates the multifaceted elements of life in a state of joyous abundance, reminding us that the wellspring of true wealth and healing is within. St. John's Wort is here to remind you to cultivate practices deep within yourself to experience this enlightening truth. Avoidance and distraction from this great knowing are unconscious habits that build and manifest as scarcity, fear, low moods that inhibit you from walking your truth. St. John's Wort grants us the spiritual courage of fire needed to navigate the death of the old self. Okay. First off, I can read. I promise you I can read. That's pretty crazy. I think there's a message there, and I'll come back to it at some point, I'm sure. This idea of, I think, St. John's Wort in general, the idea of radiance and what it does in general, you can look at the area. Let me see. I think it is I haven't named it yet, but it's going to be posted right before this one, probably at the Aries reading for this, the idea of what your energy, the idea of your energy translating, and how it does translate and how it can translate. I think we should really understand that this this idea of the death of the old self is something that I'm getting a lot of, right? And the shedding, and I think it's actually, I think this is this is a good sign when we live in a sick society, I'd say, right? The death of the old self, especially when we live in especially when we live in a sick society, and it speaks just to the idea of how what you're doing, what you're able to kind of do when you radiate, like naturally, like when you're able to activate your sun in your particular chart, right? So the idea here is, I'm gonna speak a little bit of astrology. I promise not too much, but the idea here is, what does it take to activate your sun? What's aspecting your sun? What's happening in your particular chart? That's very much something that you want to look at and address. And if you have any like strong aspects to your sun, things that you kind of feel drawn to check out, also look at the reading for that particular sign as well. When we're talking about the idea of a sun that's activated, there is joy, there is radiance. This idea of scarcity, fear, low moods, melancholy, these are things that dissipate. These are things that dissipate when you activate a sun, when you really activate that. What can you do? What can you really, really do? Right? And it doesn't matter, it matters in terms of how it naturally manifests when you're unconsciously like not really looking at things, how they manifest. But the idea of just we'll say quote unquote challenging aspects, right? Those build something, right? And you should definitely understand that. There is a level of understanding when it comes down to your particular chart that you're going to really come to, that helps, I would say, the idea of it confirms a lot, right? When you're looking at it in the right way, it should confirm a lot of what's already taken place, what's already been on your mind. And this is something that you need to really dig into. It seems like I would say that this idea of, even if it's, if you're using you don't have to technically use astrology. You can use whatever is out there. I think human design is pretty cool, and whatever other things are kind of whatever tools that are out there. But this concept of being able to exist in this time and place, we need to understand that this place that we're in right now, none of us will ever be Leonardo da Vinci. None of us will ever be like a lot of the greats in the past will never be them. That's the concept. But today, we should understand that people are looking at what is, or the future is going to look back at what takes place now and realize the same thing, right? They're going to come to that same conclusion. That was just a very unique point in history. just to give you an understanding, the idea of really just, for instance, with the Italian Renaissance, it happened after the was it the, I want to say it was the Black Plague that happened, and then the Italian Renaissance took place after. When it came down to the Harlem Renaissance, you got just this melting pot of just primarily blacks in a community, and really one of the most concentrated really areas. And these people were essentially just seeking refuge from like terrorism in the South. That was life. But in both of these situations, that darkness was a prelude to what came out. And that's what we really need to look at. That's what we really need to understand. This is a prelude. And we got to figure out what's our role, right? What do we do, and how can we radiate here? And this radiation, it comes with a very real protection for others, for other people around us. So don't just think about this concept as something that it's just negative energy that you have to hold on to. It doesn't help you. It's actually your responsibility to shed this negative energy and build that to something, and build that resilience. You need to you need to do this for just various reasons here. So, and I'm stumbling over, I think, the words, which comes back to the idea of me not being able to read the card straight, but the concept of what we're missing, a lot of what we're missing, a lot of what's happening in terms of with society in general, like all countries, but with the U.S., we got this thing called the Sibley chart, right? And with the Sibley chart, we have something comes up, and we're Sagittarius rising in the Sibley chart. If you don't know what that means, look it up. I'm so sorry, but the concept is like Sagittarius rising, and Sagittarius represents this spectrum of things, this large spectrum, but foreigners, religion, a lot of this stuff is in Sagittarius, but also things like principles, right? When it comes down to the concept of truth, higher knowledge, also colleges as well. It's very interesting in terms of the state of the revival that we really need to undergo. You should understand that your natural, your vitalization, you being able to radiate, you may help shed some light where it needs to be shed on society by simply radiating, by simply people seeing that you pass the way we exchange energy. This has been coming up a lot, but the idea here is that regardless of the words that are exchanged between one individual and the next, the energy exchange takes place, right? If people see you radiating, people see that, people understand that, it could be something that could very well help and aid towards just a new this new revival that we want to promote. And if anything, I'm gonna end that there. I think you guys are gonna be pretty okay and set. But if anything, I hope you have a good week, and I should see you soon.